Welcome to Melting Core. On tonight's episode, it's only the first month of the year, and yet one of the biggest events of 2024 is already upon us. 154 players flocked to Lombard, Illinois to fight for victory while facing the cold of winter. I'm Arhkma, hosting alongside Jaykom, and we are here today to break down the big names in attendance and to discuss some potential sets of the event.
Thanks, Arhkma. For this episode, we'll be discussing the players by location, traveling across North America to highlight some of the most notable players from each region. First up, we'll be going over the New York and New Jersey area. Our first player from New Jersey, Infinity, is an extremely strong Saber player with a great set of results in 2023. This includes a first place finish at last year's Slashback, where he beat Raiden as well as beating Safe twice in the run back and grand finals. More recent results include a 13th finish at EVO, and his last appearance at WASD Live 20 saw them only lose to Kiri in winners finals and grands. Definitely an excellent player to watch out for at Frosties.
Speaking of Kiri, the Queen of New York Tri-State is traveling to the event off a strong 2023. She finished first at East Coast Throwdown and Hog Darkside, two events in the northeastern United States with stiff competition, as well as 9th at EVO. She's a Noelle player who also has an extremely strong Arhkma and CL in the pocket if she chooses to use them. A versatile player, Kiri is a player in the hunt for the top spot.
Crossing the border to New York, our next player is Hyde, a role player who had a lot of high placings throughout 2023. They've been less active since the autumn, though in the events that they have entered, they placed 5th at East Coast Throwdown and most recently 2nd at LP 31. Despite their slower schedule for events, Hyde is still a player with the potential to make moves at Frosties.
Continuing our New York showcase, we have Kamina, a Coma player from the state. They have positioned themselves in recent months at the cusp of top 8 at both Hog Darkside and East Coast Throwdown. Frosties gives them the potential to finally hit their stride or to at least knock out some favorites along the way, with the strong punch and grab guy. At the very least, their energy will be on full display at the event. Speaking of the Godly Armor Man, our last player from this region also mains the Coma Man, and that is Shishi, aka Shiuldo. Similar to Kamina, they find themselves time and again fighting tooth and nail for a top 8 position before just barely being taken out before then. The exception to this was Heatwave 28 back in June, where after losing round 1, Shishi would mount an offensive that took out BKP, Kiko, Blitz, Sprite, and Omniscythe before losing to Lucy 2-1. The potential is definitely there, and now with a Pocket CL for less comfortable matchups, this is the one player that you should be wary of in Lombard. We now move to the small state of Connecticut. It gets its own section, because the players coming from here are just as strong as the players from your favorite region. Starting us off is Hubby-kun, a Hisui and Kohaku player who is a frequent attendee of the Hall of Gaming Weekly, and who typically places second to player and TO Kiko. He also placed 9th at the regional Hog Darkside last month, losing to Kamina and Makoto Fox just before top 8. There is definitely potential for him to make it out of pools, and even further if you give him time to cook, but we'll have to see this weekend if that dish is hot or snuffed out by the cold. The TO for the Connecticut local, as well as the Panic Shield Anonymous server. Kiko is a very strong Red Arcwood player who has the potential to dominate any player in his path. At Hog Darkside, where he was both TO and player, he placed 3rd. He also recently won Monday Night Mashfest 122, beating Masoma and Aaron along the way. Let's not forget his run at Combo Breaker, where he beat the odds to achieve 5th in a stacked bracket in the same state. There is no doubt that he can bring the fight along with those donut rings to the event, and it's on the competition to keep up. The Pride of Connecticut, Aaron, is no stranger to the spotlight for Lumina. They consistently place in the top 3 of Monday Night Mashfest, the online Lumina Weekly, and offline they have maintained that presence with second placings at both East Coast Throwdown and Hog Darkside. Two expected matchups to see are them versus Scrot Vermilion and Kiri, two players that have given the Shiki and PCL player trouble in the past. However, this time, Aaron could turn the tide and win the whole bracket if they're not careful.
We now move to the Keystone State, where 3 notable players travel out west to fight amongst the continent's best. First is Callie, Mako player, and an extremely good one at that. Though their last few bracket results are from November, they did extremely well at all of them, placing 3rd at the PSA Circuit Qualifier number 3 and 2nd at LP 29. This is one of the biggest offline events they've ever been in attendance for, but they'll undoubtedly show a strong showing during this weekend.
One of the 4 premier Mario mains in attendance at Frosties, this player may not need an introduction. As a Pennsylvania native, they have traveled to many non-Pennsylvania events throughout 2023, making splashes just about wherever he's gone to. He's placed 5th at Hog Darkside and CEO 2023, as well as a 3rd place at East Coast Throwdown. He's also been practicing with non-Frosties attendees for some new Mario-centric shenanigans, and waiting to unleash it on any and all opponents on game day.
The current rising powered CL player in the States, Crystal has been slowly but surely grinding their way up the brackets with more and more consistency. New Year alone had them placing just before top 8 at Monday Night Match Fest number 123 and PSA Circuit 2 Qualifier 8, and just inside the top 8 with the 7th at the New Year Type Lumina bracket. Consider her a dark horse with the potential to go very far in the bracket.
We are now going to sneakily cross the Canadian-American border to touch upon the Ontario players traveling to Illinois for the event, before the Mounties find out I'm here legally. First is Rakir, a familiar face in the Melty Blood scene who plays Mash Kiri Light. They play consistently at the Revenge of the Six tournament series, fighting for first alongside fellow player Gemi Plus. Offline, they have given the Shield Maiden some of her best results in North America, with a 7th at Combo Breaker, a 17th at CEO Otaku, and a 5th at Crossover Arc. They have the resilience to press on against all comers, and it'll be a treat to see them push for success at Frosties.
The other side of the offline scene of Ontario Melty Blood. Gemi is a Mario main who frequently trades sets in first places with Rakir. They do not typically play at online events, with the exception being the Melty Blood Type Lumina World Series team bracket, so while players may know how to play versus other Marios, Gemi will be an opponent that players will have a hard time preparing for. Ontario's offline presence will be a definitive threat this weekend, but we have one more player to discuss before we flew back to the US. Reaper. Mako Mash dual main from Ontario is a notable presence off and online. Various top 8 placings in both PSA Circuit 2 qualifier brackets and Blood Melters brackets. They also finished 7th at CEO Otaku 2023. One of the cornerstones of consistency, Reaper is positioned to make some noise and take names in Chicago. Back in the US, we have our first local player. Blitz Sprite, one of the 2 premier WARC players in the US, was a familiar fixture in brackets throughout 2023, placing quite well at any bracket they were in attendance at. The results have been mostly online, placing anywhere between 13th and 3rd. With a great pilot, Red Archweight is a force to be reckoned with, and Blitz Sprite is one of the best to do it.
Going a bit more north, where it's somehow even colder, we have Made in Heaven. A powerful Saber player out of Minnesota, he is another familiar player in the online scene as well as the local scene in his state. Online either sees him in top 8 or falling to anyone fighting for that spot, with a 3rd place finish at Monday Night Mash Fest 100 and 122 being a notable highlight. Offline, they found good success in Minnesota, including many 2nd place finishes at Run the Mix monthlies and regionals, and a top 8 appearance where they only lost to Hardly and Pico. Outside of Minnesota, they placed 33rd at Frosty Faustings 2023 and 13th at Combo Breaker 2023. His improvement in recent months is notable, and one thing's for certain, do not underestimate this Saber champion.
A Wisconsin player formerly adopted by the Minnesota scene. This Archweight player is mostly found offline, so much so that his fellow local players say he's grown to become the best player in the state, taking multiple monthly and regionals in Minnesota over the likes of Pico and Made in Heaven. Finished 13th at Frosty Faustings 2023 and 9th at Combo Breaker, only dropping to Scrot and Akimi. Hardly is a dangerous player just waiting for the moment to take names and show why you don't have to have a big presence online to be one of the best.
I somehow got lost and ended up at the Pacific Ocean, so I guess I'll break down the specifics of the players repping this expansive coastline. Hailing from Washington State is the Vlav, Dan, and CL player, Akimi, a familiar cleaner the way she washes her opponents, a ton. Look, Akimi, I'm trying. In brackets of both Lumina and Actress Again, she excels in matchups that others may not be used to running into. She recently placed first at Bonus Round 2023 with 2 wins over Shitani and a 5th in a rare online attendance of Monday Night Mash Fest 123. A player with great game knowledge and skill, she'll be a scary opponent that will make waves at Frosties. Or, whatever the snow equivalent is of a wave up there. I'm a Floridian. I don't know.
The protagonist, CG, will be playing in the Lumina bracket, and they are similarly a scary presence in Lumina as they are in Undernight. On brand as always, playing Shiki Tono, CG has participated in a few events the last few months with good results. 65th at EVO and 7th at Bonus Round, CG is another player to watch during the weekend. With Uni 2's first major also being at the event, it's possible to see a Path of Destruction from CG in 2 games this year. From the state of California is Vivian, another Mario that could very well clear the bracket. Strong player both on and offline, their unique style of play has given many players a run for their money. They've played in 5 brackets in 2024 and have finished in top 8 in all but one of them, with a 3rd and 4th place finish at Monday Night Mass Fest number 123 and PSA Circuit 2 Qualifier 8 respectively. If you run into them in bracket, you better be at least prepared for the Mario things, because Vivian will also bring a special flair to the fight that you have to adapt to. From one giant state to another, we arrive at the Lone Star State. The first player on our list of killers is Dapo Uchiha, a Shiki main who mostly plays offline, but their online appearances still show how dangerous they are. This year they finished third in the last Blitz Blood Melters online bracket, while at the last major, CEO Taku, they placed third as well, having made a long losers run after dropping only to June Baron pools. You better be ready to block, and you better be right when on the offensive, otherwise Uchiha is going to blow right past you.
A Saber main from the state, Junebear is an offline player with some very good results. A 25th last year at Frosty Faustings XV, Combo Breaker, and EVO, as well as the 7th place at CEO Taku. They are no stranger to making runs in bracket. Will they be able to replicate or even surpass last year's achievements? We will have to see.
I'm doing all the Mario players today. Another player with the 25th at EVO and from Texas is Beryl. Another offline player, they're a strong multi-game fighter with Melty Blood being no exception. Though their attendance is small, their 9th at Texas Showdown in April and aforementioned 25th in August shows that despite a lack of tournaments, this Mario can still clear you if you're not careful.
Our last Texas player is Lunar, the Dead Apostle Noel and Noel player. The best Dan representative in the country, Lunar is in the running for top 8 at Frosty's. His last 2 online events saw him place 2nd, only dropping to the winner of both brackets. A 7th place at EVO shows some serious consistency, and anyone running into him in bracket will have to be prepared. Leaving Texas, we arrive in the Southeast proper. Our first player is Blaznik, a Saber player who really believes in the Swordswoman's DP. Though the amount of events they have entered is on the lower side, their results are anything but. Placing 5th at Combo Breaker and similar top 8 performances in occasional net play brackets, they always make a splash when they hit the scene. In the most recent Mashfest, just days before the event, they placed 4th, with wins over Vivian and Yorsoro. With a result like that, there's no doubt that they are still in form.
Combo Breaker and CEO's champion of Undernight, Defi is also an extremely strong Blov player hailing from Georgia. They have a mix of off and online results throughout 2023, with highlights being a 9th place finish at Combo Breaker and a 3rd place finish at CEO, with wins over Arhkma and Jaykom. Unfortunately, an early exit at CEO Taku, they are still very much a threat for Frosty Faustings this year. The PCL and CL player from Florida will be making a trip to Illinois for the weekend. Arhkma has seen an improvement since last year's Frosties, with highlights being a 5th at CEO and several top 8 finishes in the last few months in both Monday Night Mashfest and PSA Circuit qualifiers. Just qualifying for top 24 at CEO Taku before being knocked out of the bracket, we will have to see if he can flourish or freeze this weekend.
The player to beat, the Costa Rican and Floridian player, Scrot Vermillion, will be once again looking to take the first place crown at Frosty Faustings. With many wins throughout 2023, including Combo Breaker, CEO, and CEO Taku, he is the man to beat. With his coma, it will be a tough bracket for anyone in his path, even with so many sharks in the water. If you are also a Street Fighter enthusiast, Scrot has also been on the grind for 6, so consider following his run in that game as well this weekend.
The first player from the DMV area is Shali, a strong Dan player, as well as a strong Seth player in Undernight. They place highly at most events they attend, including a 33rd at EVO and a 9th at ECT. Them being a strong player as well as a user of a character that people may not be familiar with, a strong run from Shali in the Lumina bracket is a definite.
A player who has fought Shali many times, including 2 sets at East Coast Throwdown, is Gumi. An Akiha player, they play competitively both within their region and without, including a 13th at CEO Taku and a 7th at ECT. Some strong wins include MP Game, StarX_, and Jaykom. It's possible for us to see an Akiha make a run through top 16 at Frosty's.
The last of the big 3 from this region, and a player who keeps up along with Gumi and Shali. Hama, a Coma player, is just as ferocious as the other Comas mentioned thus far, if not more so. With wins over Reaper, Kamina, Crystal, and EJ, as well as placing 9th at ECT, 33rd at EVO, and a 4th place at LP29, they are, as they put in their start GG, kinda raw. Will that be enough to push through the rest of the competition? We'll have to see.
To finish up, here are some players that didn't fit into the other regions, but are still very much deserving of a shout out. First is Plat, who, if we cut production for a sec, I have no idea where to put this person's region. But honestly, it doesn't matter. An extremely flashy and borderline crazy Shiki player out of the US, they have been practicing extremely hard for the last few months. They have become a reoccurring presence in top 8 of online events, including the PSA Circuit 2 Qualifier 7, where they beat Yorsoro and Jaykom for 7th place, and Blitz Blood Melter 8, where they took sets off of Cosmic and Omnisite. They've also won the last 2 Colorado Mile High Burst monthlies, so they are no stranger to offline competition. Definitely a player to watch out for. Viva Mexico! If there is one thing that Mexico and Kohaku mains can both claim fame to, it's the Broomfie who could, Drme. The best Kohaku in all of North America, they have been through the toughest of composition online Melty could put someone through. Despite Kohaku's position in the meta, they have outshone any notions of Kohaku as a weak character, placing in several top 8s and a particular highlight being a 1st place finish at Blitz Blood Melter number 8. With wins there over Cosmic and Jaykom, they are but 2 names in a sea of victories they have achieved throughout the year. A 33rd at EVO also shows that offline is no stranger to them, and anyone who is either a Kohaku fan or a Gapping fan should be watching for Drme this weekend. Now that we've covered each of the players in attendance to watch out for, we are now going to talk about some sets we're very interested in seeing. First up, we have Vivian versus Drme. It's a prediction for winners round 1 of top 48. Alright, so this is a set that's happened a good amount of times now between these two players, Mario and Kohaku, and you have experience in this matchup. Drme is a very strong player in his own right. The Kohaku matchup, though, pretty tricky for Mario.
That's what's hard, right? Is like, Kohaku has some pretty specific tools for dealing with Mario, and then blanket response options on Oki situations. Like, Molotov is super strong. Obviously, Kohaku offense, Plant included, is super strong against Mario, but she can have a lot of trouble in the neutral. So it's kind of like, whoever gets the hit wins. And I think the last time that we saw Vivian and Drac play, that was proven. Especially in that exhibition where it just went back and forth every round.
A few weeks ago there was the exhibition. I believe it was exhibition 15 from PSA, and they went for 7. It was a first to 7, and they went to the last possible game 13, and it was neck and neck throughout. And it really was just whoever got that ball rolling first, they were probably going to be the one to win the set.
Yeah, it's super volatile. It'll be really interesting to see, though. I know both of them don't go to a lot of offline events, so I think they're both going to be really jockeying for the win.
Oh yeah, and Vivian is one of 4 like major Mario mains kind of in attendance, but they're one of the 2 more online centric ones, and I think it'll be cool to see them get to prove themselves on stage while Drme is there as the sole Kohaku main, really trying to rough up the competition. So I think both players have something
you're
to
right
prove.
there, man.
True. All right, next up, we have Datboy Uchiha versus Plat. This is a set predicted for losers round 4 of top 48. There's a lot that could happen that doesn't see these two play, but I think the important thing is these are 2 Shiki players that I think play pretty differently from each other, but both with a lot of swagger in their play.
You know what's really interesting about this set is Uchiha and Plat, they play differently, but their mindset's entirely different also. I think Plat puts a lot of stock in his own gameplay, which can result in him getting nervous, especially in offline situations. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh, for sure.
Where Uchiha is kind of like the seasoned competitor. Been competing in Under Night since ST. Really strong player, makes, top 24s, top 48s, top 8s at events. And he's been doing that for many, many, many years. And despite Grand Blue coming out, despite Under Night coming out, Uchiha has still been putting time into playing this game. So I think it'll be sort of a battle of wills, like who can have the stronger mental in a first to 2 setting. So I'm super
for sure. And I think the same thing applies to Plat, if not more so, where a lot of people, when Grand Blue came out, went to that and maybe played a little less of Melty. I think Plat kind of did the opposite, where he was adding for games constantly in the PSA Discord. He has been so active and so on that grind, and his results lately have super shown his progress. And I think once he gets control of his nerves, he should be able to make a serious run at this event.
Yeah, I'm fired up.
It's going to be awesome. Next up, we have Aaron versus Cowie, predicted for winner's quarters. And as 2 people is situated in the bracket, we don't want this set to happen. But if it does...
No, this is a myth. This shit's not happening.
Okay, let's
This is going to be me versus you, and that's going to be it. It's going to be a whole thing.
It's going to be a hot set. But if these 2 do play, this is Miyako PCL most likely, if not Miyako Shiki. The thing with Miyako into PCL is it's hard for Miyako until it's not. You get PCL into a corner, I think Miyako has so many good options both in the air and on pressure that it can be a really big struggle for PCL to get out of there. And I think possibly we could see the Shiki come out from Aaron despite them usually using the PCL in online events.
I don't know. Aaron would be proving Phantom right by picking Shiki.
True.
This guy was talking about how Miyako wins the matchup. This character's insane. I don't know. But we were talking earlier with Plat about how Grand Blue came out and they were still playing the game. Obviously, I've never seen Aaron play another video game besides Melty Blood Type Lumina and Minecraft, apparently. But Cowie, this guy hasn't been on Melty Blood in like 3 weeks. He texted me the other day and he was like, yeah, man, we can run the set. And I was like, what? Like, I thought you were done. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what Cowie's playing in casuals leading up to the event. I think that'll be sort of something that sways it.
That's fair.
In Aaron's favor.
I think the hard thing for this event, especially with Under Night 2 as well at the event, it's like, for the people who haven't been playing as much Melty coming back for the bracket, it's like, are they going to be in form? Are they going to like get the rust off in time? Or are they going to still play a bit more shaky? And I think in a tournament space, depending on where you were before you hopped out for a bit, that can come back either really quickly or a little too late. So I think this will be a set where we kind of see how far Cowie can bring that back.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this game is hard. You got to keep at it.
Yeah, it can be really hard. Continuing on our set of winner side bracket sets, we have Kiko versus Blitz Sprite, which is the red Archwood mirror.
The only two in existence, by the way.
Yep, there has never been any other red Archwood players ever. If you've seen them, it was an illusion. It was a fabrication. Made it up. But for these two players, they are two very phenomenal players. Kiko, runner of the PSA Discord, also a very strong red Archwood. I believe they actually took a set off of Aaron at a Mash Fest maybe like a week or two ago. And they actually won the whole bracket. And Blitz Sprite has been a little less on and off the game, but they still maintain themselves to be at a good competitive position. And I think getting to see these two play it out, it sucks for them because they want each other to flourish more. But I think for us as the viewing audience, it'll be a great set to watch.
The thing about Kiko, which I think is interesting, is maybe like 3 months ago, he just decided that he was going to be sick as fuck at the game. Like, it's weird. There was some amount of time where he was more focused on, being the pillar of the Melty Blood community. And then he was like, nah. Now, it's my turn. I'm going to be the best. And then just started tearing through anything that he entered. So I'm excited. This will be like the first major offline event that I don't want to play Kiko.
Okay.
Like, if I'm up against Kiko at this tournament, good luck. I don't know. I'd be shaking in my boots.
No, yeah, I think at Darkside, we started really seeing how much they've improved and, like, performed under pressure, and I think this is probably going to be the culmination. He's traveling out with a few of his other Connecticut friends, so he'll have a small group with him to kind of keep him motivated and hyped up. So I think we definitely will be seeing a lot from them this tournament.
Oh, yeah.
As for Blitz Sprite, though, they are at home, basically, based in Illinois, so they're not too far from home. That could be its own advantage of being in an area that you're pretty comfortable in. So yeah. I think both players have something that they can bring to this fight, and it's just a matter of who can throw the donuts better, I guess.
I think they play a lot, too, so I wonder, it'd be interesting talking to both of them and seeing how they feel about the matchup. Like the player matchup, obviously it's a mirror, but I feel like you get, when you have people who are pretty specialized in a character, you have always someone who is better at the mirror, right? Because people are sort of reluctant to play mirror matches, especially, in my character community. People wanting to play the mirror is not a thing that happens often. So I think a lot of the time, it's not always the favorite that wins in the mirror. So I'd be interested to see who feels better about it.
That makes sense. And neither of these players really have like a counterpick character if they wanted to avoid it. I know Kiko had a small stint where they were using CL, or at least learning her a bit, but they kind of let that go and said, "No, commit to the red Archwood." So they would just
dropped top one. I don't know.
Yeah, they dropped top one and said, "I'll just be top one." So I think this will just be a very hectic mirror. That we got a few mirrors predicted for the bracket, but I think this one is most surefire for us to see.
I will have you know, this is my time to be on my soapbox, and I'm going to take it.
Okay.
Everybody talks about, Mario's so popular. Everybody plays Mario. There are only 4 out of 159 people in the bracket. There's only 4. And believe me, we're going to take the stats after. You know Kiko is going to be on that. He's going to be taking the stats. And I bet it's at the bottom of the list.
Okay, to be fair, that's just the 4 really good ones. You guys have 4 really good Marios in attendance. I didn't count every Mario main because that would be really hard.
I was looking. Kirby and I spent all day today looking.
I'm pretty sure Moose is going. Moose is a Mario player.
5 out of 150.
That's more than we got PCLs at the event.
What are you talking about?
You're
capping.
We got me, Crystal, Aaron is half-seas.
Oh, half-seas is nonsense. When was the last time Aaron won an event not on PCO?
I don't know, because I could not tell you. This information goes out of my head. I did see the Shiki yesterday, though. Shiki came out against Cosmic.
I was asleep.
Okay, understandable. But yeah, no, there are a lot of characters where we see a lot of with representation online, and I think offline the spread is way more. So you won't be seeing as many of these matchups that you would be expecting if you were just an online viewer. So I think that what makes like Kiko Blitz Sprite or some of the other sets that we're about to talk about very interesting to see at the event.
You'll see a lot of Coma.
Hell.
Coma is a heavy offline character.
I hate it here. Next up, we have Lunar Infinity. This is another set in Winners Round 1 of Top 48. We have Dead Apostle Noel versus Saber. Or Roa. Do you think we... let me just start it off. Do you think we're going to see the Infinity Roa, no combos, just IADJA the entire game, Roa?
The Infinity no combo Roa is not coming out.
Okay.
There's no... Absolutely not. This is not happening. What? It's insane to me. Because if you were telling me that this was a Uni Top 8 match, I'd be like, yeah. If you were telling me that it was a Grand Blue Top 8 match, I'd be like, yeah. And we're talking about it as a Winners Round 1 Top 48 match between 2 of the best anime fighting game players ever. It's kind of sick.
Oh, yeah. And this is a matchup we've definitely not seen too often. Dead Apostle Noel, pretty rare character. You don't see her too often. I think we do technically see her more offline than we do online. Lunar occasionally enters online tournaments, like they were in a Match Fest like a week or 2 ago. But Infinity, we really haven't heard too much of for like a little bit now. I want to say their last appearance was at, I think it was the World Series, honestly. It might have been like a local or 2 that I'm missing.
It definitely was the World Series, yeah.
But yeah, they haven't been too active, but I mean, the Saber's still good. They are, as you said, these are some of the best anime fighting players in the country, if not the world, and they know what they're doing and how to pilot their character. So I think no matter what, it'll be a great set.
The interesting thing about Infinity is that Infinity plays sort of no frills. Like, there's not a lot of things about Infinity's game plan that need to be drilled over and over again. Infinity plays the neutral extremely calm and makes correct choices more often than not, and doesn't put themselves in situations a lot that are ambiguous. Like, pretty much every interaction that Infinity is involved in is solved on his end, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
So I think that'll make it easier to just sort of jump back. I mean, you saw it with no combo Roa, right? There's almost no one that has touched this game that could random select a character and beat top players in the game. But it's just because Infinity is very good at understanding what's happening on the screen regardless of mechanics.
And I think that's something that could definitely give Lunar some trouble, because the main thing with Dead Apostle Noel is you're either playing a longish game to try and get a knockdown, or when you get the knockdown, you just try and keep them within the Oki forever. But for Infinity, who's someone who most likely won't put themselves carelessly into a position like that, it could be really hard for them.
So also, I can't imagine this is a great matchup for Dan.
Oh yeah, because Saber has a lot of ways to just get in on you. The movement speed, the ability to really put pressure in the air, foot dives.
And if Saber has a life lead in 3 bars, I don't know how you as fan do anything in the game.
Oh yeah.
It's probably not possible. So Infinity might be able to just camp this one out and cash it in. So anyway, I'm just super excited to watch this because these are some of the GOATs.
Lastly, on our list, we have Aaron versus Kiri. Now, this is a planned winner semis match with possibly another meetup in losers finals.
It'll be in losers finals if I have anything to do with it.
True. You'll have to intervene. But these are two players that have met a lot offline, especially within the last few months. They met each other at East Coast Throwdown. They met each other at Hog Darkside more recently last month. And it's been a very back and forth series of matches, but I believe Kiri has typically won these sets. The last one in particular, they played in Grands at Darkside, and it was game 5 last round, and I believe it went to a timeout. Kiri just outlasting some patience from Aaron and finding one last poke to win it. It's a very top level set. I don't think you're gonna get two players that play as well as they do, putting on an absolute show through pure fundamentals and game knowledge.
Oh yeah. Well, they talk about this in like traditional sports a lot. The idea that it's hard to beat a good team twice. They talk about this in the context of football, where you play divisional opponents 2 times in a season. Mm-hmm. And I think Aaron is in that boat now. Is perfectly capable of beating Kiri if they're playing a set, right?
Yep.
So let's say they meet in this losers finals match. I would be very confident in saying that Aaron has a good shot there, right?
Yeah.
I think the problem has shown itself when Aaron wins the set in winners finals, and then when it comes to grands, you have to then beat Kiri 2 more times, right?
Yeah.
Which, that's a tall order for anybody in the game, I think. Like, I think it's really, really hard, and Aaron has just sort of been a victim of circumstance, I think. Because I would be confident in saying that if Kiri won the set in winners finals and Aaron was coming up from losers and Kiri had to beat Aaron twice, I think that would be a much taller order. So, I don't know, it's just a bit of food for thought. I think that the way that the brackets have been lining up for Aaron is winning at the wrong time.
I think that makes sense, especially when it comes to events like in larger size where you know you're going to have to beat someone like Kiri twice. It's just, it's hard because Kiri's going to be working on the adaptation as soon as they play and as soon as they get back to playing again. And I'm going to be honest, I think when you're playing PCL, it can be a little frustrating playing against someone who's a bit more patient and a little more disciplined, not to just immediately react to what you do. And
right, yeah.
You really open yourself up a lot more the longer you play with her when you're trying to force opportunities that I think Kiri is really good at maneuvering around. So yeah. I'm wondering if maybe the next time they play, we see the Aaron Shiki for it. Kiri assumedly either playing Archkma or Noelle. The Archkma matchup into PCL is very interesting just because Archkma has the ability to run you down and then just keep you in that pressure. I think the Shiki might be a little bit better in that regard just because you feel more comfortable playing from that back foot. Whereas for Noelle is just a very tricky character because she can very much poke at PCL's range. But I don't know how I feel about that going into Shiki. So I think we could...
I was about to say, I think that character owns Shiki.
Yeah, I think we could definitely see some counter-picking shenanigans that happen, but I could also see Aaron, especially in a loser's final set, going, I have at least an extra game to either win or to lose. I might try and switch it up just to try and mess with Kiri's adaptation.
I would love to see that if we got a, long form set and we're returning to character select every time. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I don't really think we see that too much in this game where people have like multiple sets of characters that they're willing to throw out into a bracket. Even myself, as someone who plays at least 2 characters, 2 to 3, I still tend to have characters going, I play you for this matchup. It's not, I'm going to try this. But there have been times where I've thought about it and it's gotten mixed results. I think it just depends how you're feeling in the moment and what your mindset is going into the set. And I think with that on the table, this is probably going to be one of the highlights of the night.
I'm with you. I'm excited to see it.
Well, no, I'm not. I don't want to see it.
You don't want to see it because it's gonna be you and me in that winner's semi spot.
That's what I'm saying.
Actually, wait, no, it would be the winner's quarter spot, but I digress. We'll be seeing each other in grands.
Yeah.
Duh.
And that's it for today's episode of Melting Core. Be sure to tune in to Frosty Faustings this weekend if you're at home, and good luck to all the players in attendance.
And listen, if you have any head-to-heads you'd like to mention, make sure to comment them below. As for us, it's time to start packing.
I can't forget my long sleeve shirts, my thermals, my coat, my second coat, my sweatshirt, the other shirt for the sweatshirt, my long pants, the pants below those, my boxers, the underpants